Euphotic zone can be further divided into two major light zones in the lake. The first of this is the open water zone, that is in deeper water, known as the limnetic zone. The limnetic zone, by definition, is that zone in the lake where light, effective light, now by effective light we mean light necessary for photosynthesis to occur, effective light does not reach the bottom. As I mentioned, this is the open waters of the lakes, and in fact in very large lakes the limnetic zone predominates. Obviously, if effective light does not reach the bottom, this means that there will be no vegetation growing on the bottom. It's all deep profundal zone underneath the limnetic. What kind of producers dominate then? Well, obviously they have to be plants that are free floating in the water at the mercy of the currents, and that's the definition of phytoplankton. So in the limnetic zone, the phytoplankton dominate, and they are fed on by zooplankton that are fed on by various types of fish that live near the surface, and so on up the food chain. The other major zone in the euphotic zone is the shoreline zone. That is the shallower water that surrounds the whole lake. This is known as the littoral area. Now, the littoral area, by definition, is defined as that zone where effective light penetrates to the bottom. In other words, the whole bottom is covered by vegetation. In this area, although phytoplankton can still be fairly dominant, this is where you start seeing the dominance of other types of plants like periphyton, that is growing attached to the substrate, and the rooted higher aquatic plants, what people commonly call seaweed, potamogeton, other types of vegetation. That littoral area can be divided again into two subunits. The sublittoral area, which supports vegetation on the bottom, but this is the deeper littoral part, and therefore none of this vegetation ever reaches the surface. It's growing on the bottom, but it does not reach up to the surface. That littoral area also includes the eulittoral area, EU meaning true, and in the true littoral area, this vegetation has the capability of growing to the surface or even above the surface. It includes floating vegetation as well as emergent vegetation.